This is your homework helper, Mrs. Anderson. Today I will help you with Lesson 7, Subtract Unlike Fractions. Please have your homework page ready and let's begin. Let's look at this homework helper right here, just for practice. Here we have 2/5 minus 1/10. Students, you know that the very first thing we do is write it in a column. After we write in a column, then we look at the denominators to get a common denominator. Here I have 5 and 10. I need a common denominator. So I'm going to do multiples of 5 and multiples of 10. Multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15. Multiples of 10 are 10, 20, 30. I can see that the least common multiple is 10. So I'll do 10 here as my common denominator. Now I'm going to ask myself, what do I do with 5 to get to 10? Well, I times by 2. And if I times by 2 on the bottom, I'm also going to times by 2 on the top. 2 times 2 is 4. Here I have 10. What do I do with 10 to get to 10? I multiply by 1. So I'll multiply by 1 on the top as well. Now I'm going to do 4 minus 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. And the denominator stays the same, 10. So the answer is 3/10. Okay, let's look at some of these others here. Here I have 1/2 minus 1/4. So I'm going to write it in a column first thing. And if you want to write it on a piece of paper and then turn in the piece of paper with your homework, that would be great as well. I'm looking at my denominators, 2 and 4, and I need a common denominator. So I'll do multiples, 2, 4, and so on. Oh, looks like my common denominator is going to be 4. Okay, so I'll extend my fraction bar and write 4. Now I ask myself, what do I do with 2 to get to 4? I times by 2, so I'll times by 2 up here. And what do I do with 4 to get to 4? I times by 1 and times by 1. So now I'm going to do 2/4 minus 1/4. Well, I do my numerator minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1, and my denominator stays the same. All right, you'll do number 2 and number 3 the same way. Let's look here at the back. The average rainfall in April and October for Springfield is shown in the table below. How much more rain falls on average in April than in October? Well, it says how much more. I know that how much more means subtract. So let's take April, which is 11/16, and we're going to subtract 3/8. Okay, the very first thing that I need to do is get a common denominator. So I'm going to look for, I have 16 and I have 8. So I'm looking at multiples of 16 and multiples of 8. Multiples of 16 are 16, 32. Multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24. Oh, I can see it. There's my common multiple, which is 16. So I'm going to go to 16 here. 16, oh, I can just times by 1 right here and times by 1, which will give me 11/16. And here I'll multiply by 2 and multiply by 2, which will give me 6/16. Once I subtract, I get 5/16. And then I always look to see if I can simplify. 5/16 I cannot simplify. It's already simplified, so that's the answer. All right, on number 5, we have Tricia helped clean up her neighborhood by picking up plastic. She collected 3/4 pound of plastic the first day and 1/6 pound of plastic the second day. How much more trash did she collect the first than the second day? How much more means minus. So I'll start with the biggest number, which is 3/4, and I'll subtract 1/6. Okay, you'll go ahead and get a common denominator and work it out. Number 6, Wyatt is hiking a trail that is 11/12 mile long. After hiking 1/4 of a mile, he stops for water. How much farther must he hike to finish the trail? How much farther? That's a signal that I'm going to subtract. Hey, let's look at the last one. The table shows the distance each student ran on Wednesday. How much farther did Joey run than Steve? How much farther tells me I'm going to subtract, but let's look what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do Steve. Oh, here's Joey. and Steve. The problem doesn't even ask me about Charlie, so I'm just going to cross that one out. I don't need to use that. I need to figure out which number is the biggest, 1/6 or 2/3, and start with the biggest number. Well, I know that 1/6, if I round it to either 0, 1/2, or 1, 1/6 is going to be close to 0. And 2/3 is, oh, more than half. So I know that 2/3 is the biggest fraction. So I'll do 1/3, 2/3 minus 1/6. Thanks for watching this homework helper video. If you have questions, feel free to ask me tomorrow at school.